welcome back to Napoleon Total War 3. Last time around we had a bridge battle over in this area where we were able to kill off quite a lot of, basically a French army. But we took surprisingly heavy casualties as the very elite French units were able to press right through the barrage of hot lead that we were sending down upon them. So that kind of took me by surprise, and we suffered 1,000 casualties, which I didn't think at all. However, now you might be wondering, well, that army has actually moved down here because I've moved the troops around a little bit after the end turn, and I've spent some cash to save time, but also because well, firstly, you might be wondering, what the freaking hell? Why is this general still here? Well, clearly he's not. But what happened after I played this episode is I felt, you know what, I have another one in me, so I'll just go ahead and continue playing and record a second one. Problem was, I forgot to save, and so I moved on to auto-resolve because there was a small French force that had taken up position here on the mines, the iron mine, and when I moved up to attack them, it crashed. The auto-resolve crashed the game. Now this was a singular event and didn't occur more than once, so once I loaded the save, I was able to do this again, but the thing was, the closest save I had to before this was of course the one before the battle, so I had to play the battle again, and that's why we have quite a different story over here, where we don't have as many casualties. You remember that the cuirassiers lost a lot more men, a lot of these different cavalry units and so lost a lot of men, the artillery lost a lot more, and so forth. So I think I lost about 500 less men in the battle I played afterwards. We're gonna go ahead and select this guy because he's better. And then we're back on track. So after that battle I went down because I was afraid before this episode that maybe there was something wrong with the auto-resolves. I went ahead and I did the auto-resolves before this episode, before I actually taped it. So I moved one army out here to kill off the guys at the mine, and I moved this army out to kill the retreating army that had fought at the bridge, kill them off in the forest, and then move out here on the road. So that is what you have missed. Now, in continuation of that episode, I found out that I could actually ambush this army, because this army is clearly, even though they're looking back towards France, they're clearly on their way into my territory. And so I set up an ambush here with two armies. The thing, however, was that the ambush battle constantly kept crashing. I tried different things. I thought, oh, so it might crash because of the fact that it might crash because of the reinforcement army, that it maybe turns in on a strange angle that makes the game crash. And I tried to play the battle 3 times in 3 sort of ish variations. All 3 of them crashed, so I basically had to redo everything, and so now we're at a state where I should be able to hopefully actually play a battle. So I still want to ambush this army because this army is very strong in terms of numbers. So this one hasn't fought at all. They're all fully replenished troops, and we can see all my forces in this area ready to fight it are have lost a few men here and there. So they're not really up to par with taking on this one, and it has a lot of heavy cavalry, it has grenadiers, a lot of light infantry. Basically this army has spammed the light infantry, and we have seen what kind of devastating effect the French light infantry has had on my troops, absolutely massacring them in certain battles. So I'm not entirely sure. I still kind of want to do the ambush, but if the ambush is going to crash, then I don't want to conduct it. And right now we can see where my troops can move, and I can't really move everyone into the position. But I still want to try to get an ambush battle. So I want to take this army, or quite a few of these units. We're gonna have to leave the cannons behind, and then what I'm going to do is I'm gonna bring in cannons from this army and then this army to be part of it. So I'm gonna bring in the general, and I'm gonna bring in the fresh troops, the troops that are fresher, maybe I should say. And there's some specialists and so forth, and we're gonna hide them in the forest. And then we're gonna bring in some more cannons, because I think we're definitely gonna need. We're not gonna take this 3-pounder because I think that's probably gonna be a single cannon given the low amount of people actually manning it. This is a reserve unit, only unit that isn't damaged, and so right now I've got I have 7 more slots to fill, and currently we have no cavalry. Definitely going to need some cavalry. Also, I noticed that these buildings are destroyed. Probably want to try to fix that. So looking at the different cavalry units, this one is definitely something I'm gonna need. This one. It's got very good chevrons, but I mean they're only 64. That's not too good. So probably want a little bit more cavalry because the enemy had so much. However, it feels like a waste to send in a lot of cavalry. This infantry unit, I want that one. What I can do here, the Bavarians. Are the Bavarians any good? They're roughly on the par with the Dutch, the German infantry. So what I could do is I could add them on like that. So we have 2 fresh units to send in, and then I do want some better units. This guy is good just because he's a general, but he also provides, since it's a normal unit, he will provide basically a support point in line, since he has the general aura around him, so he will have the moral support of the troops in the line around him. And also he is a light infantry unit, so he has better accuracy than a lot of my men. And I think we're gonna bring in the other light infantry as well, unless there's some light infantry elsewhere. I really don't like the skirmish companies, quite useless. Even though they're supposed to have very high accuracy, they don't seem to actually be able to kill anyone. So I think we're gonna bring in this one as well. St. Georgia, even though it has quite a low amount of troops. It's lost quite a lot of troops in that unit. But I think that is it. So right now I do have a save before this this battle goes down. I'm most likely they're gonna do like last time, they're gonna move in and I'm gonna be able to ambush them. If the battle crashes, I will be able to go back and alter this, and will basically allow then the enemy army to move into our territory, and we will have to deal with him in another way. I really don't want to deal with him in another bridge battle, because we've had so many bridge battles. So it would be probably nicer. I mean, in terms of you know, the most cost-effective way, then yeah, it probably would be good to have force them to come over a bridge and slaughter them that way. But entertaining-wise, it probably is better with a line, like a proper field battle. With that said, I'm gonna go ahead and end turn, and hopefully he will march straight in my trap, and my trap will actually work. The thing is, I mean, I don't think the reinforcement thing was that bad in the last battle, and the thing is, this is a really strong army, so I'm kind of contemplating if, even though we're gonna ambush them, if I want one army close by. You know what, we'll try it this way. One way or another, I will have a battle in this video. So let's go ahead and end turn and see what happens. For me, this might take up to 4 hours trying different scenarios. For you, it will take, what, 5 seconds, and then you will have a battle. And here we have it. So I outnumber the enemy by 100 men, but I feel as though their army is a lot stronger. They've got 2 fully ready grenadier units. They've got let's see, that's 6 units of light infantry. They've got some nice cannons, lots of heavy cavalry, 2 generals. Yeah, I think there's not much to say. Probably do an auto save, or if that is even necessary, and then we'll jump straight into it, shall we? Right, and so here we are at the ambush. I'm gonna go ahead and explain how I set up the troops and what we're expecting from the battle. So I've got 2 6-pound cannons here merged into one giant battery. So one of the things I did wrong in the last ambush battle I played, or the one that crashed, was that I actually started off with canister. But these guys are definitely not within canister range, so we're going to start on with round shot, pushing round shot into these guys at the start of the battle. Since there's such a heavy front on the enemy troops, what I've gone ahead and done is I put all the 4 grenadier units here, supported by 1 unit of normal line infantry and the general, plus this 3-pounder artillery, and they're going to be the front. Then to link the 2 artillery pieces, I've got like some normal-ish line infantry. One of them is a name unit, the Kaiser Franz II, and then we have a veteran unit. Then the light infantry turns up on this side, together with the Badischen infantry. We have then the 3 light infantry unit and the Badischen infantry. That's going to move in here. Cavalry, heavy cavalry, my dragoons have been placed back here to counter any possible attack by the enemy cavalry. And then the hussars have been hidden on this side, and their task will be to try and snipe either for the enemy generals or the enemy artillery pieces. What we'll do is we'll let the artillery pick the targets on their own, and then I'll go ahead and steer the targets for the howitzers, because otherwise they'll shoot at the first one, and if I actually tell them to target someone in the middle, it will be there will be a higher chance of us actually scoring a hit because of how this hit system works. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start this, and hopefully this will work. So go ahead and target this one. So very quickly on, the French troops are moving all around, and we're gonna have to move quickly to counter this. So we're gonna get the light infantry into the forest. We're gonna get these guys together with the grenadiers up in between the cannons, and we're gonna get these guys out in the flank there. These guys to come in behind the cannons, tell them to hold fire and so forth, and we're gonna have this cavalry unit stay where it is. We have a gap here with which the cavalry can move out of. Might want to move it over there. The enemy is all over the place, an absolute mess, as they've been ambushed by us. and they're running all over the place. So I think we want to actually push the advantage. But we can't really push through the center, and I don't want to push through the flanks. So we're going to push mostly with the light infantry, and we're going to try to seek contact with the French troops that way, and in that way we'll start off the battle and force the enemy to actually start engaging us. We can see the enemy trying to line up against us. And I'm going to be able to hit his left flank. I'm going to tell these guys to pick targets on their own at this point. So we're going to have our light infantry get into a position where they can engage with the enemy light foot. This guy is actually kind of... we want to angle these guys a bit more, just so these cannons have more of a free rein towards this. And since we're in the forest, we should be protected from a lot of the musket fire of the enemy. So we've already sent one of the enemy cannons off. The guard horse artillery has been sent off. We got enemy hussars moving back. We got an enemy general. Possibly have my hussars get him. We have got a charge here, but they're pulling that off. You know what? I'll form square anyways. Even though they're kind of just riding in front, getting shot by our men and their own. They're sending this light foot on their own. So there's a complete mess within the French army structure here, which is very good. They're actually moving most of the force away at this point. I've got the cavalry, which you can sweep in and get rid of this one. They're being fired upon heavily by both these cannons and the infantry. I'm going to switch to canister, and we're going to see about forcing these guys away. They left a single unit to fight over here. I forgot to use the hussars to take out the general. What we're going to do is we're going to take out this unit instead with the hussars. Right, so it's still going just fine for us at this moment. There isn't a massive problem haven't occurred for us. This should be fine now. We have 2 units coming up, so I think we'll keep these guys on canister and start blasting these guys. And since the enemy is moving forward here, we're going to switch to canister on this side as well. So the French are pushing strong, and it looks like they're going to push really strong through the center with multiple units going straight for the center. They have the cavalry riding ahead of them, and they're going to ride straight into this canister barrage, which is about to be unleashed. And it's a hussar unit that's going straight into my goons, and obviously that's not going to go too well for them. If this one's gone, I can send my light infantry, draw them up like this, and then basically these guys have been sandwiched. We've got massive amount of enemy cavalry coming in, and there we have the crash. So very unfortunately, the ambush battle crashed. I have no idea why it crashes, but hopefully it's not all ambush battles, because it would be very nice to have at least one ambush battle in this series. But it could be that there's something, I don't know what exactly breaks it in that way. There's quite a large French presence, but also Spanish presence now around Marseille. And as I basically loaded the save game, and then I allowed the French to take this province rather than retreat, trying to build up troops here by holding them in this region, and we're gonna push forward in next turn So let's, or in this turn, I should say, we've got an auto-resolve over here. Oh, we forced them all the way to the Pope's border. But the Pope will not grant them refuge. And we will smite them. And there we go. Boom! Only 400 men roughly lost. And we get steady under fire. Oh yes! Since... ah, god damn it. Since... you know what? I'll have... since I cannot change general right now, I'll not do it right now because we'll lose the replenishment of these troops. What I'll do is I'll have to delete him next turn, and then we'll have to say then I'll save some money to actually have a general there. I'm also actually building up a force in this region now, so we've got the 3 Bavarian units that I've recruited. Also, I don't know if I mentioned that, because it might have been part of the crashed episode that I sort of removed, is that as we can see, Great Britain has taken Hanover, which it's great in one way because my allies are actually taking some territory off the French, but it's bad in another way because now the Prussians don't have clear access through there. This, I could have possibly already talked about this. No, I probably didn't, because my response to this was to offer military access to Prussia. However, Prussia has to move through this region and come down here, just like the Russians. So don't really like that. Hopefully, you know, the Prussians... I'm not sure if the AI is clever enough, but the best thing for Prussia would be to gain access either from England or from Hessen to be able to go through. Can they? Yeah, they can go. They can either go on this road. Probably better to go through Hanover to actually get to their province. Probably goes quicker. But I'm planning also to open up this front, hopefully, or basically pay these guys enough to attack here and bring in this army as well. I don't know, for this episode, because I've already done so much on this episode, and we kinda had a battle, even though it was like, what, 5 minutes or something? I wonder if the Spanish are any easier to infiltrate. No, they're not. And they've actually brought... it's 4-pounder, I guess, because there's a 4 there. Bateria de 4 libras. They've got provincial militia. Not even I send militia to the front. And I'm Austria. Right, so we're gonna destroy this one. We're also gonna make sure that we keep the momentum up by having someone block here. Obviously, I'm not gonna be able to... I'm possibly gonna have to... I'm possibly gonna have to fight 2 armies here. One Spanish and one French, coming right after one another, and the French one looks kind of terrible because it's got, well, it's got 2 howitzers, grenadiers and stuff. One thing I'm kind of fearful at this point is that it's the reason why it crashes, it not necessarily just because it's a ambush battle, but because it's some part of the mod that sort of makes it crash. Bring everyone here. Most likely it's this guy that's gonna lead the attack. He's gonna get some extra troops. Gonna move in the infantry first, and then since we have quite a few of these German infantry units, I'm pretty sure I will be able to Oh, there weren't really enough for that, but I can send him off to this army instead. After having replenished these guys, and then he can replenish these units to the point of extinction, and then the Hussar can join. So now we have a little bit more cavalry for this unit, and then we have these two, which can join this army. And then our forces in this region have grown quite stronger, and hopefully we'll get this one joining us soon with a new general. I do have tons of reserves here. I'm not entirely sure if that is needed anymore. And I'm not so sure I want to actually use these guys on the front line. Instead, I'll remove them and recruit some better troops. The thing is, right now I'm running out of the German infantry, and I'm not entirely sure that the Hungarians are that good compared to the... So if you look at the stats, they've got 12 accuracy, 15 morale, 7, 12, they've got 30, what? So they've got... The Hungarians actually got worse accuracy than my German reserves. So they're actually seemingly worse, because they've got 7 melee attack as well. So they're worse than my reserves. I don't think I have that many Hungarians though. I have some Hungarians on the way, I think. Well, these ones, these Hungarians are actually good. Wait, what Hungarians were the bad ones? Oh, it was the Hungarian reserve. The Hungarian reserves are worse than the German reserves, and then the Hungarian infantry is slightly better than the reserves. So I guess we get those guys and then get rid of the Hungarian reserves, but I don't have that many. So instead of having these, I can reduce that by 3, and they still so that would save me 148 per turn times 3, which will equalize roughly 3 Hungarian infantry units being recruited instead, sent to be joining this army. I'm also recruiting more troops to join this army, cannons, cavalry, grenadiers and so forth, and we're gonna have a lot of these light infantry that's being recruited here and there. They're gonna go up here, and for most part I am switching out most of the garrison units for militia to save on cost and being able to send troops to the front line instead. So that should be good. With this, however, it looks as though I'm gonna end the episode right here. We had a little bit of a battle. Next episode, we're gonna hopefully fight these ones. And beyond there, I'm hoping that I should be able to, and I can sort of start to see the end of the tunnel. We've got 3 clear armies, and I can see most of the replenishment line here of the French. They're sending in smaller units here. Obviously, if these guys merged, they would become a full stack. We've got Napoleon, but it looks like it's clearing up. If I can get the Swiss and the Württembergers to join in the war against France at the same time, that would be really neat, because that would basically field another, like, 4 armies against France. That would be good. Also, one thing that I saw is, we can't see it right now, but there was, during the end turn, there was a British Navy that moved down here with a small army. So I'm not entirely sure if they're gonna land in Portugal and try to maybe retake Gibraltar or attack Spain somehow. So I'm not entirely sure what's going on there. One thing that I would really want to do is probably end the war with Spain, so that I'm fighting France alone. Not entirely sure how easy that will be, what I'll have to give up. But we'll see what happens there. So it's unfortunately a kind of an episode where we don't really have a battle, but I included that little part of the ambush, so I guess that's okay. Next time we'll be able to attack this position, and it'll be quite a heavy battle taking this back, and then hopefully I'll be able to block this area right here, and then we can actually push into France. Taking this means that I've only have 2 provinces left to take. This one should be easy, and then we have the last march on Paris, and the campaign will have been won. But with that said, hopefully you guys enjoy this episode, and hopefully I'll see you guys for the next one. Bye!